Hey everyone, happy 2022. I know I've been like MIA for like so many months now, but hey, we're here and we're ready for another round of book reviews. So, I've got a dozen books that I've read over the past few months, and I can't really wait to share my thoughts about them with you. But for this video, I have here one book that I really needed to talk to everyone about. Yes, correct word is needed. It's called The Hunger by Alma Katsu. So, backstory, I read this book a long time ago. By long time ago, I mean like 2021, around maybe December or November. And I didn't really understand or didn't really know or have any background of what this book was about. And I don't know about you guys, but I really want that to be like a regular occurrence. I want to pick up a book and not have any background about it because in my experience, reading a Google Book review or a Goodreads review, sorry braces, Goodreads review really skews my vision or it skews my approach to the book. I should really stop saying words with the letter S. How can I do that? Any tips, please? So again, anyways, this is The Hunger by Alma Katsu. So, a short background about the author. Alma Katsu has been publishing books over the past decade. You must have, if you're a regular reader, you must have picked up one of her books in the past or read one of her recent works. Her genre is mostly historical fiction with a bit of suspense or supernatural horror. Now, after reading The Hunger, I am totally psyched about reading her other works. So without further ado, here's my review. Hey, that rhymed. Okay, mild spoilers ahead. Don't say I didn't warn you. So, what is The Hunger about? Well, as I mentioned, Alma Katsu, she likes to combine horror and historical fiction. So that is exactly the genre of this book. So if you are from America, you might have heard of the Donner Party. From the get-go, we're introduced to different people from the Donner Party. There's the head of the party, there's George Donner and his wife Damson, who is depicted as unhappy in their marriage. And then there's the hero figure. I'm not so sure if he's actually a hero in real life. Again, this is historical fiction. His name in the book is Charles Stanton, and he also happens to be a real life person. There's also Mary Graves, Edwin Bryant, and a whole cast of characters who we get different narrations from. Now, you immediately kind of know what you're going to get into as soon as the book starts. There's a really graphic depiction of a boy's death, which our cast, as well as you as the reader, immediately see as an omen for what's to come. The entirety of the novel goes exactly like the events of the actual journey that the Donner Party experienced, and there are a few bad decisions along the way, and as expected, tempers start to flare, and put simply, shit's about to go down. Okay, so just a bit of a disclaimer. I know I said this is a horror book, but the supernatural events actually take a while to start happening. And when it does, it starts when one of the party members is infected by his own dog. So this man, he was supposed to be some really nice and mild-mannered dude. And then suddenly he went from really friendly to feral. And oh yes, there are a couple of hungry creatures actually stalking our cast all throughout the book. It kind of begs the question, do they have a bad omen? Or is the bad omen within the group? Do they have a witch in the midst? Or is the great American wilderness actually filled with actual monsters? Or are the monsters lurking within the party? Or is this some unknown disease that wasn't discovered at the time that's waiting to consume the whole party? That's just some of the few questions that actually linger in your mind once the book goes on. And the suspense kind of builds up. And if you're the type of person who wants full-blown horror, then I don't think that you will like this book in particular. Now back to the story, sorry. Aside from the supernatural elements, our cast of characters also have to worry about the worsening weather and their depleted supplies, and of course they come across warnings from fellow pioneers that the route they're taking is far more dangerous than they think. Now, with tensions reaching a fever point, we get to the most disturbing part of the book. The part where all hope is lost, and again, if you're familiar with the Donner story, this is where they resort to cannibalism. Okay, now let's talk about trigger warnings. Yes, cannibalism is depicted in the book, but that's probably, in my own opinion, the last thing you should worry about when reading The Hunger. There's a ton of trigger warnings that I wished I knew before picking this up. Issues like child abuse, incest, animal abuse, and I mean a lot of it, is littered across these books. And there were so many moments where I had to stop reading the book and almost gag. So think about that before picking it up. So overall, what did I think about this book? I think I've sort of had mixed feelings upon ending it. I think Katsu, she's obviously a wonderful writer, and then she handled the whole multiple POVs very well. And I really don't mind reading about historical fiction. I know a lot of people who don't like it when authors twist the truth, but that's the whole point of the genre. But as long as it's well written and does the characters justice, then I'm all good. And another thing you should know about this book is a very slow burn. So for me, it's kind of okay. I guess what had happened, all the events that had happened in the book, I know it for some people it probably would seem like it lagged the whole story, or sorry, dragged the whole story along. But I guess the book, when it starts to pick up everything that you read, all the events and all the very detailed scenarios and the conversations, it makes it all worth it. Now, where does the book fall flat? It falls flat whenever there's a time jump, and that's kind of regular all throughout the book. And I just felt that those were a little bit unnecessary. Also, despite the good writing, despite the suspense, and despite the climax, it just wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It really isn't some book that you would pick up and read all over again. And I know some people, and most people actually, if you go to Goodreads, they really love this book. But me, I just don't think that this is something that I'll read over and over again or come back to. So that's it. I'm totally 50-50 about this book. But at the same time, I'm really excited, as I've mentioned, to read other works from Alma Katsu. So if you have any recommendations, please do share it with me. I think she's a really skilled writer and want to read more of what she can bring to this historical, supernatural horror genre. So if you follow me on Goodreads, I rated The Hunger 3 out of 5 stars. And if you don't follow me on Goodreads, please do follow me. I've linked my Goodreads account on the description below, and also I've linked my new Instagram account, Bonker Writes, on the description as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.